media. Fucker! Woo! Man,
Spoilers. I laugh even saying this. Spoilers ahead for the Musketeer from 2001. Good luck fucking finding this movie.
Yeah, it's on DVD and VHS.
And actually, if you try and Amazon it, it does recommend getting the VHS, which, whatever about that.
Yeah, so go visit your grandma and steal her VCR.
Yeah.
If it has not dry rotted or whatever happens to plastic after 40 years.
So starring Mina Savari and Justin Chambers. Also starring Tim Roth, who is the main villain.
So you might be wondering, why are Dan and Jeremy covering this movie in 2001? It's 2022 right now. Well, let me explain it to you, buddy. This movie is from my childhood. And the reason why I thought about this movie is we were watching some Kung Fu movies, and I was like, you know what? That movie I used to watch when I was a kid, it's a little Kung Fu-esque. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
So the answer to that is yes, it is a little weird. And now so we watched it. I don't know if it's good. Well, actually, I do know the acting is not good.
Yeah.
The accents are from a small hometown middle school play. It's like I'm doing the accents.
Yeah, I was asking you before we started this. Were the two main characters attempting European accents, or did they just say fuck it? It's like Dwayne Johnson in Black Adam. Where he's just like, I'm not doing that. Let's just move on with it.
I mean, Gaston's accent was good. Yes, this is your test.
And you know what's weird is Tim Roth, his accent wasn't good, but he's fucking British. He's actually British, but it sounded like he was American for some reason.
Yeah, the main character was like straight up from America television. Do you know who I am? Sound like an American. Why are you in France in the 1400s? I don't remember what year it was. Why are you using that accent from the future?
Yeah, he's from Springfield, Ohio, so that helps.
Yeah. And like the opening scene is the worst acting. I think what they did is they watched most of the movie and like, man, this is some really bad acting. What if we make the start of it even worse so people think it's improving? Like the opening scene is some girls with balls level acting. They're on a horse and they are talking. The kid from Black Adam would have fit right in.
And he still would have been the worst. So Tim Roth's character in the beginning kills the main kid's parents.
But he doesn't kill the kid. Like the parents don't do anything to him. Like the bad guy boots a kid in the chest, as you do.
Yeah.
And the parents get upset over nothing, and so he stabs them both for screaming. Or he's like the father has crutches, so he hobbles towards him, and then he just stabs him. But then the kid cuts his fucking eye open. And he's like, well, you won this one, small child. And doesn't kill. Like, why would you not kill the kid? If you're going to kill the parents over nothing, I feel like you're going to kill the kid for making you lose your eye.
And this movie would have been 2 minutes long.
What if the kid had done all the action though? Like,
my God.
Like he kicks the kid again, and they tumble into a room full of ladders.
My third note on here is big points for an immediate time skip. I didn't want to see, because the kid starts training with his dad's old trainer. I didn't want to see any of that shit. Get me into the main bits.
Yeah, I mean, this movie does not waste too much time giving you like your first questionable action scene.
Yeah.
However, that is excluding the opening credits, which feel really lengthy with their medieval video game music, and the fact that the opening credits are just pictures of the cast like going through an old school like photo filter. Downloaded a cracked copy of Photoshop.
Yeah.
And you found one of the filters and applied it to all your pictures, and now it's on MySpace with an autoplay, just auto scrolling.
Yeah, and it would have been good in 2005.
But yeah, it would have been good for MySpace in 2005. It would not have been good for a movie.
Yep.
Which is what this is. So
MySpace with the top 10 friends list.
Tom is number 7.
Yeah, there was always a fight because if you got a new girlfriend and you didn't put her number 1, then that was a fight. And if you did, you'd be fighting with your buddy who was previously number 1.
Okay, I feel like your buddy needs to understand what's going on. You know what really pissed me off? Guys that gave me shit about that. As soon as they meet a girl, then they do all the same shit and it's fine.
Yep.
And I'm like, hey, chuckle fuck here.
Yep.
What you doing? What are you doing? I thought that you were not going to do this shit.
Yeah, didn't you just say bros before hoes 2 months ago?
And you know what? If they were to be like, yeah, you know what? I understand what you were talking about. Then we can both move forward as mature. No, he says the same shit next time too.
Yep.
Like he doesn't even remember when he did that shit. The worst is when like he still has the girlfriend, and then you get a girlfriend, and he's mad at you because we didn't hang out. But like we've been not hanging out the whole time.
Yep.
We've been not hanging out the whole time. So anyway, after the time skip, our American teenager in Paris. I'm sorry, outside of Paris. He is one stagecoach right away from Paris. He goes into a bar to start a fight, and he starts the fight by walking in, grabbing a bottle of wine from a table, grabs a chicken leg from a drunk guy that I'm pretty sure had a bite taken out of it already, and just starts eating it. Like, man, and like I think one of the people says, "Do you have money?" He's like, "Yeah." So why don't you just buy your own stuff? Why are you robbing the drunk guy? He's like, you have money? Yeah, but I want to keep it, so I'm stealing his stuff. And then a fight starts out. And my note for the fight scene is we can't stab him. He's standing on a barrel.
We can't stab him. He's hanging from the rafters, so
the rafter hanging was so bad.
You know, I did enjoy that they tried something different because that's kind of what I look for. You know, it's with swords and shit, but it's a kung fu style movie, as you said.
Yeah.
Like anytime we see a Jackie Chan movie, he's always trying something different, even if it's a little weird. Like I did appreciate that part, and especially the ladder scene at the end.
Yeah.
Was it great?
If you watch the movie with the director's commentary playing, the director is absolutely stoked about how well these action scenes came out. The accents are bad because the director did not give one fuck about the accents. He made this movie because he wanted to do Kung Fu Musketeers, and that's what he did. He didn't do anything else. He didn't care that like the fence that like a couple scenes happen in is a clearly modern fence. Like I'm pretty sure there's a helicopter in the scene a couple times. But like the sword play is pretty meh. But most movies have meh swordplay. I think in the last 5 years, we've had some really good action and some really bad storytelling. So when we have bad storytelling and bad action, it kind of stands out when you go back in time. But I think for the time, the action was good.
It was the most enjoyable part of the movie for me, was the fight scenes. Whether or not they were outstanding is to be told, but I did enjoy them, especially in comparison to the rest of the movie.
Yeah, so we go into the city, and within one day of the guy who has never been to a big city, I'm pretty sure, he talks to like 5 people and sees through the Cardinal's brilliant scheme to outmaneuver the king of France. He accidentally sees the hot chick in the bathtub while stopping the old gross guy from seeing the hot chick in the bathtub. Yeah, there is a very there's a more ordinary fight scene where they bust a guy with a French name out of a prison. But like that was basically just a sword and musketeering scene. There's an explosion that's not too bad. And then everyone is impressed and the Cardinal's like, "Who is this man?" They need to get into the castle to stop the king from being. I don't know if they're trying to kill. I don't think they're trying to kill the king here. I think they're just trying to embarrass him. So the Musketeers show up, and there's some actual humor in here. They kidnap the butcher and baker and stuff them in cupboards, and so both guys are like getting instructions from the guy stuffed into a cupboard on how to make bread. And but yeah, that all leads into a big banquet scene and like another kung fu-esque sword fighting scene in the kitchen, where like the guy's swinging around the kitchen and like using pots and pans and a rope with a bag on it to fight. And like no one's like freaking out like, hey, what's this guy doing? I've never heard of anyone doing this. Like everyone just goes along with it like he isn't doing something that would be very unusual in France. Yeah, but then again, the swordsman disguised as a peasant isn't even trying to use an accent. Like you you're very skilled for a he's like, you're very skilled for a waiter. And I'm like, this guy from Jersey? My next note is that they have a Harvey Weinstein scene followed by a girl boss scene. It's like, what is? There's like 2 or 3 like side stories in here, and I'm like, why are you doing this to yourself, Mr. Director, man? I feel like the guy like called his assistant and said, look, record something. Like, I don't give a fuck what. I need 8 minutes between this next 2 action scenes, and you're gonna give them to me. Like, okay. Someone put a mole on this guy and have him grab it and have him cop a feel.
She does this thing where he's like trying to get into her, and she pulls out like this little blade, and I thought she stabbed him either in the stomach or the dick, but she just kind of held the knife up to him and threatened him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just do your thing, just Benny Hanna this motherfucker, just get on with it.
He's gonna cause issues in the rest of the movie. You should have just gutted him. Like then you have an end, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Do a whole Tyrion to him. Is that his name, Tyrion? No, Theon. Sorry, Theon from. There's a whole political background. I mean, it's the second driving force to the movie behind the revenge story, which I totally thought this was like a Northman style or Hamlet, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
So the queen decides to go undercover with our main character. And at the same time, the other musketeers want to recruit him to go in, even though the entire movie they're telling him he's no musketeer. They want him to come and help rescue a fellow musketeer. And he says no, because, I mean, he probably would have just told them about the queen, but it's supposed to be a big secret. So just the main 4 characters know about it. There's a pretty decent horse wagon chase / fight scene, which was kind of like Red Dead Redemption style.
I wouldn't call that section kung fu, but he does he swings around the carriage. He does a thing. He does like a little gymnast thing where he swings through and just spars a guy right out of the carriage. They have some good sword fighting, I think, where they're ducking the tree branches, and then he takes a big risk because like he grabs on the tree branches to get off of the carriage, so the guy like stops and laughs, ha ha ha, you're off the carriage, and he gets hit by a tree branch and he's never seen again. But the guy who is chasing the carriage apparently didn't notice. Like he must have been checking his phone or something, because a guy on a horse goes right below him and just gets absolutely kicked off of his horse. And now he doesn't see D'Artagnan grab the tree branch of the carriage off the carriage while he is chasing the carriage. Like this is not like a random guy. This is the person who is trying to murder D'Artagnan. Yeah. And instead of like going around him, he just goes directly below him on a tree branch and subsequently loses his horse. And now, are horses okay with just switching riders? Like, I feel the horse would be like, hey, who are you?
Yeah.
You're not Gary. Where's Gary at? Gary, where'd you go? Like you couldn't do that with a dog. Like, if you went and, like, punched a person and then grab a dog leash wouldn't be like, oh, let's go for a walk. But horses are fine with it. Horses, like, they just want to have a saddle on, I guess. They don't give a fuck. You think that would work in, like, the real life? Like, if you went to the Olympics where they had the horse dancing and you just drop kicked a guy off a horse, would the horse continue to dance?
I feel like it would try and like go up on its back legs to kick you off. Like,
it'd be like, who are you? You killed Steve.
Yeah.
Steve, are you okay?
I don't know. Let us know in the comments below if you've ever kicked someone off a horse and was able to ride it. It's not fucking Grand Theft Auto where you just get in the car and it's okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, horses aren't just animal cars. They're like, you have to like give them like an apple and shit before they like you, right?
Yeah. And I feel like if you're like a skilled horse trainer, you'd like teach the horse to kick people off if it's not you, you know? like I don't want just anyone riding you, you know? That came out wrong.
So let's see. They have so in our hero's quest, after he finishes his super secret mission that involved like 10 guys finding exactly where they were, he decides to go for a swim while his girlfriend's watching. And the bad guys show up. And, of course, he can't use a gun because he's underwater. And she gets kidnapped. He beats some guys up with a stick.
Like a giant-ass tree log.
That one was a little off, like because the tree's moving so slow. I'm like, why did that hit him? Like the guy should have seen the swing coming.
Yeah.
That stick weighs as much as Darton does. Like it'd be like trying to hit someone with like one of those like if you use like an entire refrigerator box and tried to swing it at someone, like you wouldn't get enough velocity on there. But Darton, of course, is a kung fu master, so he can pull that off.
Yep.
But I'm pretty sure this is the first time I heard like the whole, oh, we only brought one guy, I'm insulted, and then like 3 guys show up. Don't be.
It's like, all right,
Is
now
that
we got
like
a party.
did you hear that before 2001?
I don't think so.
I think this might be the movie where like they invented the cliche of you don't have enough guys, and then like 4 more guys show up and they're like, yes you do, and then it turns out they didn't have enough guys.
I'm gonna have to look through the Arnold Schwarzenegger archives to see, but other than that.
Our boy goes and gives the Musketeers a speech that doesn't work, but then it did work, and a bunch of Musketeers ride through explosions that do not make any sense.
Yeah.
How do they see them? It's night. They're not carrying torches.
You know, I know it was supposed to be some big inspirational moment, but couldn't they have just skipped the "no, I don't want to come" part? Like,
no,
5 minutes later,
listen, this movie is just as long. Look, he had the budget for some action scenes, and the movie is as long as the action scenes needed to be to get them all in there.
Speaking of budget, wait till you hear the fucking budget on this movie. It's gonna blow your mind.
$80?
It is going to blow your mind.
But then we get into the highlight of it. We find out that this carriage that they had a big chase scene on, the whole time it had 2 cannons in it. I mean, if they put those cannons aside, they would have just gotten there without any issues. Because those cannons absolutely ripped those cannons are strong enough to destroy a castle door.
Yeah.
And they just hauled those around the countryside all this time. And so my favorite scene, my 2 favorite scenes are coming up. The first one is the rope scene, which does not make any sense because they have this big like swinging fight on the ropes, but like no one cuts Darton's rope until like the middle of it. Like if they'd done that so like Darton's trying to use a rope to climb up the tower and save the princess. I mean the apple pie girl. 3 guys like rappel down after him instead of just cutting the rope.
Yeah.
And then he cuts their rope like a dick. Like they're giving you a chance, Darton. Why would you do that? So then they cut his rope in revenge, and he's like on their rope, and they don't cut the rope below him again. They like, yeah, come up and fight us again. But like I think it's a really interesting scene. Like they're spinning around, like they're using the gravity. Like I think these are real stunts.
Yeah.
So it looks a little awkward because it's not all CGI. This is literally like before they invented CGI to ruin Blade 3. And let's see, then there's some more talking, and then we have the ladder scene. I still think holds up.
It does. This was awesome.
Until the very end, but they're in a room full of inexplicable ladders. There's no reason these ladders are where they're at.
This is definitely, in whatever year France this is definitely the ladder factory. That's
then why are there so many barrels? Are they full of ladder juice?
It's full of like that varnish stuff to make the ladders look good.
Oh, like the lacquer, yeah.
Yeah. That's the only justification in my head. I'm like, oh, this is where all the ladders in France come from. That's fine.
And here's where we stand them up and test them.
Yep.
Because so they spend like maybe 4 or 5 minutes like swinging around ladders, cutting ladders in half, climbing up them, and like Darton's on a ladder, like using it as a shield.
Yep.
And so the guy just kicks the ladder, so Darton jumps to another ladder, and like then he dances around the ladder, moves between 2 of the ladders and like swings them around, and they'll do like a balance beam fight on the ladder. And these guys are really agile. Like,
yes.
I don't know if they like had the rocking scenes with them on strings, and then like they held them still, and then had the running scenes. I'm guessing they did that. But it's like mostly convincing. Like if they did this in Marvel, you would be like, oh, look at all that stupid CGI.
Yeah.
But you're watching it now going, man, they did some work on this.
Yeah, this must be where all the budget came from, because yeah, this was awesome. And
the ruthless badass best swordsman in the world, his final strike is to slide down a ladder
head first
head first with his sword like out in front of him, like he's jousting. It's such a goofy moment to end that awesome scene. And I'm convinced I can see the actor on there going, "Why are we ending it like this?"
Yeah.
So he's like, he gets his like, "I'm gonna get you" face on there.
The director's
You're
like, no,
chasing your
trust
niece.
me. This is
What?
going to be awesome. The director is convincing him.
It's gonna be so good. I don't think it's gonna be good. No, it's gonna be so great. You look so badass in your black leather sliding down the ladder.
This director was still going as of 2013, but since this movie, he's only had 4 credits.
Oh man. they must have lost their ass on this one. Because like he has some real, I mean, there's some so there's a lot wrong in this, but there's some real like interesting stuff in here that like I feel like if the producer had been like, hey, maybe the rest of the movie should be okay too, we would have had like a classic.
Yeah, and we do get a sequel tease, so he had high expectations for this movie because at the end there's a medal ceremony. We didn't mention when he slides down, when the Tim Roth's character slides face first down the ladder, he just gets impaled by the sword and that's him dead. So there's a big medal ceremony at the end, and
Star Wars style.
Yeah, and D'Artagnan whispers to the cardinal, he's like, basically, I'm coming for you too. So I feel like that was a sequel tease, and based on these numbers, there ain't no fucking way in hell there's gonna be a sequel. But aside from the fight scenes, the main part of the movie didn't hold my interest as much. Maybe it was because the rest of the movie was a little bit more dull. Maybe that's why I didn't like it, or that's why I liked the fight scenes as much as I did. Maybe if I watch them in a nutshell, I won't like them as much.
Yeah, I mean, they're not like quote unquote good.
Yeah.
But they're unique. Like I'm 90% sure no one has like tried to film action scenes like this.
They're definitely unique, and they were enjoyable. They weren't good, but they weren't bad either. They held my attention for sure.
If you tell me this budget is like a large budget movie, then I'm gonna ask why they didn't have the money to hire Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
Not as an actor, but like have him come in and like do some directing. So you could have someone that knows the sword play, and if you had a big budget, like Jackie Chan wasn't that expensive then. I mean, he was putting out medium budget movies in the 90s.
Yeah, and give him your cool ideas for the fight scenes and be like, how can you make this better? Because I'm sure he would have enjoyed the unique.
My guess is the director thought he was going to impress Jackie Chan, and then he was going to let him direct like Rush Hour 1 or whatever. What year was Rush Hour?
I think it was around 2000. Let me check.
If this movie came out a year after Rush Hour.
Oh, 1998. Jesus.
Okay, this movie is totally the director saw Rush Hour and also wanted to do a Musketeers movie. That's what's going on here.
All right, we did one of your favorite movies from 2001. Next, we're doing one of my favorite movies from 2001, Rush Hour 2.
We already did like 25 horror movies.
we did Halloween H2O, which was 98. But we're doing Rush Hour 2. I watched that movie as a kid so much. So the runtime, hour and 44, felt like the right runtime. Will I ever watch this movie again? No. Do I recommend that you out there go and watch it? Yes. It's worth the fight scenes alone, and I don't think the middle bit was too bad, really.
It was pretty bad.
It was pretty bad, but especially if you have, I think younger audience will hate this movie. Mm-hmm. But I think if you grew up around the same time as us, then you'll have an appreciation for movies like this.
If you have an appreciation for the girl from
American Pie,
for the girl from American Pie, or cheesy accents, this is the movie for you. Like, you know how we used to like make fun of the French, like, oh, like this movie, it's up your alley.
Yeah.
I mean, they did not have enough baguettes for my taste, but other than that, it's good old French mockery.
Yeah. If you do decide to watch this movie, good fucking luck finding it. That's the last thing I have to say. So I'm gonna give it a 5.1 out of 10.
Yeah, go. What you're gonna find is a blockbuster that has not been cleared out. I'm gonna give it Should I include my nostalgia or not?
Yeah, absolutely.
With nostalgia, it's a 7.
Okay. What
Without
about just
nostalgia, this is a
objectively?
5.
Okay, yeah, we're right around the same. Let's see. IMDb has 15,000 plus ratings for a 4.7 out of 10. It's not too far off, so go on, watch it if you can find it. It's fine.
Yeah.
So it did not release internationally, released domestically only.
Yeah, the French banned it. No, you cannot bring this filth into our country.
And what's weird is most of these have DVD and video sales, and there's no DVD video sale information. So
I assure you, this movie sold some DVDs because
yeah,
I
at
had
least
one.
dollars. There were tens and tens of dollars sold in DVDs. This movie was only in theaters for, it says 2.62 weeks, so it didn't even make it a third week. I don't know.
That's real. For 2001, that's a real rough run.
Yeah, so it did make $27 million, and that is not adjusted for inflation, with a production budget of $40 million in 2001. $40 million.
What did they spend? What? How? What?
All those ladders, man.
How many dumped ladder scenes? Like, is there a landfill somewhere, like in Georgia, that's just like there's like when you're driving down the road, you see like this shadow, and you look over and like it's just the Mount Everest of scrapped ladders.
All the how in every movie where there's a homeless person, they have a steel trash or steel barrel with a fire going.
Mm-hmm.
Those ladders were used for the last 14 years to fuel those fires.
I cannot imagine where that $40 million went. Okay, so to put some context on this movie came out in 2001. Shanghai Noon came out in 2000.
Hell yeah.
How much did Shanghai Noon cost? $55 million. Shanghai Noon had Owen Wilson in it and Jackie Chan. That is where'd the money go?
Adjusted for inflation, 2001 $40 million is $67.3 million today.
I bet like this movie cost over half as much as Shanghai Noon.
Yeah.
I don't understand. No one in this movie is as big as Jackie Chan. No one in this movie is half as big as Owen Wilson was in 2000. I would have guessed this movie cost $10 million to make.
$10 million after inflation adjustment. Crazy. Oh my god.
That is, you're right. I am gouged. When you said I wouldn't believe how much the movie cost, I thought you were going to say like 20 million.
All right. On that note, we will catch you guys later.
Until next time.